terminologies related to sustainability. And I'm going to explain the international framework and legal basis for sustainability and ESG reporting practices. I'm also going to mention the importance of sustainability reporting standards. And then I will try to explain what these, because there are different frameworks, there are different standards, but I'm going to try to explain some common aspects of sustainability reporting standards. Then I'm going to, we have this case study on the situation in eco member states. And then I'm also going to make mention on ESG focused ISO standards. There are several ISO, actually, there's a very big list of ISO standards, especially management system standards, that are directly related to sustainability. I'm going to explain those standards, and I think it is important that the exporters, the producers, the actors in your countries have access to these standards. And then you might remember I had sent some case studies. I summarized, I received some case studies, some responses from you. Not everyone answered, everyone did not answer, but I'm going to summarize the findings of the responses provided by some of the participants. And then we can speak about the conclusions. So first, let's go over some key definitions. Now, sustainability, this term, there are many different definitions. Actually, there is no agreed upon definition at a global scale, but the most commonly used definition is sustainability refers to the practice of meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And this is a holistic approach. It balances economic, social, and environmental factors to ensure long-term health and viability of our planet, our peoples, our societies. And sustainable development is, and derived from that definition, it is a development approach that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And there's one other terminology, the Sustainable Development Goals. I am very much certain that you have all heard about Sustainable Development Goals, but just to go over it, this is a collection of 17 interlinked global goals established by the United Nations in 2015. And an important aspect is that this is all eco member states, because they're members of the UN, they're also part of this. This framework is adopted by all members of the United Nations. So what is a sustainability report? A sustainability report is a report published by a company or organization that provides information on its sustainability performance. And this information is typically provided under three main pillars. This is the environmental pillar, the social pillar, and the governance pillar. And sustainability reports are typically prepared in compliance or with reference to one or more international recognized, popular, one might say, standards and frameworks. These are those frameworks. But just to show you right now what a sustainability report looks like, if you haven't seen one before, let's follow the link to Position Green. This is a company, and this is their sustainability report for 2023. These are typically very, well-designed, fancy documents, and they are actually quite comprehensive. But you can see here in this company's sustainability report, environmental information, see here, you see social information, and you see governance information, right? So typically, a sustainability report has these sections, and this goes for nearly all sustainability reports. So moving on with the presentation. So these reports are typically prepared in accordance with a certain standard or a series of standards or frameworks. And these standards provide a set of guidelines, principles, rules, and criteria that organizations use to measure and disclose their sustainability information. In other words, their environmental, social, and governance performance. Now, on the screen, you see, for example, the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative. It is a voluntary standard. It's a voluntary reporting scheme, and it is one of the most popular ones in the world. The ESRS on the top right corner is the European Sustainability Reporting Standards developed by EFRAG. And I will mention more about these standards, but they're also similar to GRI reporting as well. So they have many commonalities and also some differences as well. Then we have IFRS, the International Financial Reporting Standards. We have the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board standards. By the way, SASB is now under IFRS, right? And then we have the TCFD and so forth. So there are different standards and frameworks for sustainability reporting. So what are the? I want to also explain what we mean by environmental, social, and governance. What I just said was, just to repeat, companies are required to report on their performance in relation to these fields. In terms of environment, for example, in a sustainability report, companies or organizations are expected to provide information on their environmental policies, strategies, action plans, their carbon footprint, how much greenhouse gas they emit, their energy and water usage, their waste management strategies and policies, and their policies and actions related to national resource conservation and biodiversity. So in sustainability reports under the environmental section, it is generally expected for organizations to provide detailed and accurate information on these topics. So what are the social topics? In a sustainability report under the social section, what are some examples of disclosures and explanations and data that must be provided? Relationships with employees, for example. Are you paying their salaries on time? Do you have any legal difficulties with your employees? And also your suppliers, your customers, and the communities that you impact. Your labor practices, the diversity and inclusion and human rights practices in the organization. Do you have a policy for that? Do you have a strategy for that? And consumer protection, what you do for consumer protection. Community engagement as well. For example, if your organization's activities have an impact on a certain community, then you need to be engaged with that community, right? For example, if you're an agricultural company and if you are using pesticides a lot of land, and if this is having an impact on the local, villages and the community living in that area, then this is an area, this is a field that you need to provide certain required information under the social topic. And governance. Now, the governance section of the reports, they must include disclosures on your internal system of practices, right? Your anti-bribery policies and actions and measures, your anti-corruption policies. You need to provide information on how you carry out internal controls, audits, how you monitor the processes in the organization, your procedures, your processes as well, whether you are compliant with laws and regulations, which laws and regulations that you are expected to comply with, and what is your compliance status. Do you have any problems in relation to law? For example, do you have any legal problems with the government or any of your clients or customers? And also, under the governance section, the organization must provide detailed information on its structure, on how it's managed, how many committees are there, what is the what are the responsibilities of the boards, different boards and so forth. Also, organizations must provide information on, transparency and also lobbying activities. Like, is your organization involved in any lobbying activities? This is one of the areas in a sustainability report, at least a full-scale sustainability report. These are the areas that companies who prepare sustainability reports must include in their reports. So those were the basic definitions. Just to make sure that we are on the same page in relation to these definitions. So what is the international framework and legal basis of all these, sustainability reporting standards and regulations? Well, we already mentioned the SDGs, right? The United Nations SDGs cover 17 goals and 169 targets. And it provides a framework for all countries in the world, for all UN member states to follow as they establish their policies, as they align their policies and practices with sustainable development principles. And sustainability reporting standards play a very important role in monitoring and measuring in this sense. And then there are several, actually many international agreements, treaties, and protocols related to sustainability. Now, the sustainable development goals, they offer a very broad and comprehensive framework for sustainable development, which all countries agree on. But these international agreements, they are actually focused instruments for countries to collaborate on these shared objectives. For example, the Kyoto Protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. All ECO member states are members of the Kyoto Protocol, and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change as well. All ECO members are party to these treaties as well. Actually, I prepared a table to show, just to underline that every ECO member state is, well, since you're UN members, you're also, this framework, the SDG framework applies to you as well, in Turkey as well. The Paris Agreement and Kyoto Protocol as well, you're all parties to that. Actually, and when you are a party to these treaties, right, you make certain commitments. Every country makes, for example, under the Paris Agreement, every country, including Turkey, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, all the countries, they made certain commitments related to, for example, integrating climate change measures into national policies, strategies, and planning. Member states, ECO member states as well, they made commitments to reduce their emissions. We made commitments to enhance climate change adaptation efforts. We made commitments to improve methodologies for data collection and climate change monitoring. We have commitments to report regularly on the implementation efforts. Actually, I would like to show you what this looks like, what these country commitments look like, just so that you see. This is the United Nations, this is the Nationally Determined Contributions Registry of member states that are party to the Paris Agreement. And when you look at the registry, you will see for every country, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Turkey, all countries have this. But we can look at, for example, Azerbaijan is here. This is the contribution and these are the commitments of Azerbaijan, for example. And they have prepared a very comprehensive document explaining how Azerbaijan intends to reduce carbon footprint and what their measures and policies are and what their commitments are. So all of us, all of our countries, they have these commitments. And I'm going to explain why these commitments are important and why sustainability reporting is very important in terms of monitoring these commitments in a moment. Just want to make it clear that we're all on the same boat, right? So where do these reporting standards come in for countries? Now, I think we can all agree on the fact that you cannot manage what you cannot measure, right? And you cannot improve what you cannot measure. So the sustainability reporting standards are very critical tools for governments, for all ECO member states, actually for all countries in the world, to collect clear, accurate, and comparable data that informs the general public, investors, financial institutions, as well as public authorities and policymakers. This is why so many countries have recently begun adopting and expanding their sustainability reporting regulations. Turkey is included in this as well, and so is the European Union.